Well, welcome everybody. It's about that time, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks for being here today. This is one of the series of Return to Learn webinars that have been going on for quite some time. I know some of you are here today as part of that class, and you're viewing quite a few of these 1-hour webinars as a credit course, but others of you are here for today's presentation specifically, and we welcome you guys as well. I think we'll have a good representation of some of our Strategist 2 teachers jumping in today, which is awesome. And our topic for today is considerations for students with significant disabilities. So meaning those students that have significant intellectual disabilities, and delving in a little bit into some of the virtual and hybrid methods that we can use for with students in this population of kids. And this is a really has been a really big topic, I think, across the state. As many of you in the audience know today, you are working with some of our kids that have the most challenges, and many of you are now working with one or several of your students in a virtual setting, those where families have chosen remote learning. And so you have some additional challenges of figuring out where to go. So this is going to be a session where we'll talk about that topic. And I'm going to share with you just a few general resources to start with here. And I'm going to try to be very brief. I really am, because we have several teachers with us today that are going to share some really great ideas, some methods and materials that they've used with remote learning. So we want to spend most of our time on that. But just what I've got on the screen here, I want you to be aware of this. In this slide deck, the link for this slide deck was shared in the reminder email today, and it's linked to the Return to Learn document. But just for your toolkit, I wanted you to be aware that there are several state resource documents that are pertinent to your work with students having intellectual disabilities from the many documents that are part of Return to Learn. And I'll just click on these and just, you'll have these for future resources. So there was one guidance document that came out kind of at the end of the summer that was considerations for our kids with significant disabilities. And I want you to be aware of that. There are essentially just different areas of virtual or hybrid learning that are listed here in the document, and some resources for possible curriculum and tools, including some of the dynamic learning map resources are linked there as well. So just wanted you to know that those resources are available on there. And also I put on the screen, there is one other Return to Learn document that came out during the summer, and it was titled Secondary Transition. So that this is for our learners that are secondary. So we're talking our middle school to high school age students. But I wanted to point it out to our group today because there are definitely some areas in this document that may apply to some of your kids who are working on foundational skills or life skills or things like that in addition to their academic work. So for example, I'm just scrolling ahead here, this doc gives you a little bit of a framework or a little bit of guidance on how you might approach a skill development if you're working virtually. So one column is in person. So if you were working on things like applying for jobs, practicing interviews, here's what it might look like in column 2 if you were in person. If you're virtual, how might you adapt that, and giving you some resources there. So just wanted to point that one out as well. And then lastly, before we hear from some of our teachers, I have a slide here kind of titled Literacy and Shared Reading Resources for Virtual Model. Just wanted to remind you that there are many sources of text pieces that are electronic, that are available for you to use in literacy activities with your with your students. Some of those are um, associated with, again, dynamic learning maps. So for example, on the DLM resources, there are these familiar texts that you can go to by grade level, and these are the texts that are actually used in the DLM assessments or variations of them. But if you're needing activities to do shared reading with your students, you can pull these out. These are available. So you can go in, there's different variations of the certain themes, and those texts are available in the Tar Heel reading format that a lot of you are familiar with. So just added some links in this slide just to make it handy for you to find these things. So Tar Heel reading in general, Tar Heel shared reader that would give you access to some of the Tar Heel reading collections along with core vocabulary symbols kind of built in, and shared reading vignettes there that really are kind of examples of how to go about the shared reading model with your kids. Some of you, especially those of you that have students ages kindergarten through 6, are still, and remote learners, if you have them in that boat, we know that you're still needing to report out on the early literacy alternate assessment. And so, we remember that several of those rating scales require students to be involved in either guided reading or shared reading. And so you're in the boat now where you would still have to have those types of instructional activities remotely. And I just wanted to point out that these links that I have right here in the presentation are good places to get some of those tools. All right. Okay, so again, I wanted to reserve most of our time just to give several of our teachers a chance to share some things that they've been doing, that they found successful in working with their students in remote situations. If I could, Carrie Arnett. Carrie, I believe you're here with us from Titan Hill, Lewis
Sure
Central.
am. Hi, guys.
Hi, thanks for being here. And Carrie, there were several things you were going to share with us. I can either turn the screen over to you for sharing, or I can click on something and have you talk about.
Talk if you want to go ahead and pull up the remote learning schedule.
Absolutely.
The remote learning schedule, I had a student who was remote and he was really struggling to know what he was supposed to be doing at different portions of the day. So I went through his day and I wanted to also reinforce reading skills, reading across the page. So I have that at the top. And you can see his schedule is here. It's basically kind of a picture schedule that I would have done on some kind of a clipboard or a binder if he would have been in the building, using the pictures that I got from Lesson Picks, and then some pictures that I uploaded of myself and his general ed teacher. Then I got real creative and went ahead and added his Zoom links at the bottom. So the blues are direct links to where he's supposed to be. For example, he had to check in to go over his schedule in the morning with me, and then he would have to go over to another Zoom with his gen ed teacher and kind of back and forth all day. So with him, what I did is I had him pin this. I had him share his screen. That's one thing he realized he could do pretty early on. And then I had him pin that, and we would go over that every day. It worked, but improving this even more, I would love to see some kind of a clock built into this as well, because he struggled with telling time even when we talked about, hey, there's a clock in the corner of your screen. So that was one thing he continued to struggle with. But this did help him get more places on time more often. So that was the first thing I had. Then the next thing I had was the Zoom expectations. And actually, I can't take credit for this. One of my colleagues found this. It was just great because it is, again, lots of pictures. This is something that we do with, again, my check-in and out students especially, but I can pull it up for anybody who needs it. Just picture cues to remind the kids. You're not walking around your classroom or your workspace, you're sitting in one space. I did have one student who continued to come in just his pajama shorts. I said, hey buddy, we need you to have a shirt on for school, you're still doing school, other people can still see you. So again, just pictures to help him remember what the expectations are, and we can have that up and handy. I can share it, I can put it in front of them. I did print it out for some and sent it home with students to pick up when we do materials pickup. The last one that I have on here is, again, just some little pictures from lesson picks again. And these are small. And then there's one that you'll see I had to outline. I had to outline the chat box with a Sharpie. But these are just cut out and laminated, and I just hold them right up to my screen. If I'm having trouble, I'll just put in there, hey, can you hear me? Or turn on your microphone, or turn your sound up or down. I do have one student who has struggled with glitching, so we would have to refer to the chat box, and that would be what I would hold up. If I could tell the screen was glitching, I could hold that up and they could refer there. I thought of another one that I'm going to add, and that is Elsa from Frozen, so that I can hold that up and say, hey, you're frozen, and at least acknowledge that I do see that they're there and having struggles. So for me, a lot of it is just the picture cues for my lower readers, or reminders for especially my spectrum students.
Thanks very much, Carrie, for sharing those. And I wonder if people have questions. One thing I was going to say, I really like the, as far as the remote learning schedule, I really liked how that was kind of right there with, with picture cues and the Zoom links built right in. I know a lot of, I've had conversations with quite a few teachers as far as issues like the students not getting to class, or parents are having a hard time helping them with the technology. I really like that was in one spot. All links are there. I feel like that would really help a lot of people with access, especially if the student needs to be in lots of different places throughout the day. So I thought that was great. Any questions out there for Carrie, maybe about how she implemented some of these things? Practicing my wait time, but it sounds pretty quiet out there.
Hi, it's Dawn. I don't have any questions. I just want you to know that your learning schedule is fantastic. And I definitely hope it's okay to share that with teachers who are struggling with getting students involved in their classes because they're so confused where to go. So good job on that.
Thank you. Absolutely. Feel free to copy, make it your own. I wish I could say that he had been successful with it, but for him, the time ended up being something that made it really hard for him.
Great. And Carrie, was that essentially, was that constructed on a Google Doc or a different format, or how?
Yeah, right on the Google Doc.
Okay,
and I took what we do for our behavior charts in the building, and that's kind of where I started. And then I started adding pictures, and I thought, well, I don't want to go down. I want to, again, reinforce those reading skills, reading across the page. So kind of just evolved, and it ended up being awesome for one kid. So I copied it for another, and now I have a couple going around.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. All right. Next here, we wanted to talk a little bit about the idea of Google Classroom and how that might be a platform that you could use in working with kids with significant disabilities when you're getting into remote learning. And we have a couple teachers that are going to talk about using Google Classroom in context. But Carrie Olson, I think you're out there, aren't you?
I'm here.
Carrie was involved in, some of you know that the AA, our tech consultants, there were quite a few sections of a class called Digitize Your Classroom this summer and fall. And a lot of that was about using Google Classroom for some remote learning. Carrie was in connection with a teacher who had kind of built a Google Classroom, and that teacher is, has worked with students with pretty significant needs, and I think she was gonna just kind of show us an example of one site and maybe what that could look like. So Carrie, I'm gonna stop sharing,
Okay.
and I think I am. If all is well, it's gonna let you jump right in. Let's hope that's true. There we go. Perfect.
Got it. So this is a site. This is more geared towards middle school. This is a teacher who built this for the Digitize Your Classroom class that he took this summer. I do have to kind of protect some confidentiality as far as students and everything, because it is a live and active site for his students. But this one is all about community living. And so this is semester 1 for them. And so it's actually, he's organized it really well for course information. The start here is right here. Are you happy for school to start in August? And he's used some of the things that he learned in the Digitize Your Classroom. This one is a poll. Some say yes, some say no, as far as were they happy for school to start. There's a welcome to our classroom, and there are some videos that he has added so they can watch the video and then click on the slide to explore the community living, the Google Classroom at this point. So he can really give kids the idea on what this is going to look like. If you continue to go down, there are some school skills. And so some of these kids are in the classroom and some of them are remote learning. And so these are different locations in the school that they'll be going to, just kind of a document that they'll need when they get to the building. This is what the lunchroom is. And on this one, sorry, I'm trying not to scroll too fast. You watch a video, and then there's another one for healthy food choices, and then you read Talking at Lunch, and then there's an assignment that goes along with it. And so once you're done, so 6 of them have been turned in, so everybody turned in their assignment, then he gets a notification that this is done. But this is all about the lunchroom and everything that he's done. The next one goes over home skills, and as you can see, there's a variety of home skills, all the way down to ordering a pizza, preparing a meal, washing dishes, making sure that they are able to do all of these skills at home. But again, it goes along with the video, and then you wash the dishes, the visual schedule, and then read it, and then there is another assignment as well that they can do and then turn in. And then it goes into community skills if you're going to the grocery store or to a hotel. And then at the bottom, there's all the handouts and resources. And so all the students have access to this at all times. There's visuals, obviously, for washing the dishes. Let me see if it'll let me open that one. So again, start with a clean sink, put in this, and it just really walks them through everything that they need to be doing in the home setting with lots and lots of visuals to support that. So we just thought this one was pretty cool, just because it came out of the Digitize Your Classroom, and then he has continued to add, and we kind of jumped on and asked if he would mind if we were part of his classroom so we could continue to watch. But he has done a nice job. So the Digitize Your Classroom also goes through different, like the Cami, there's Screencastify, lots of different resources that you can use for remote learning. So just to support everything that you're doing in remote learning with your students. So any questions over any of that? I know that was kind of a quick overview, but.
Hi, this is Julie Livingston from Harlan.
Yeah.
Can you give this gentleman my phone number? And I would love to hire him for us older teachers. I'm serious. If there's any, I took your class and I'm still plugging away on it and everything. And then my group, they changed to Seesaw, but I think I'm going to go back to the Google Classroom.
Yes. And
for them.
And I've used both. So I've used Google Classroom, and then my daughter used Seesaw when we closed in the springtime. And Seesaw was great for the younger group, especially because she was only in kindergarten. But I like the Google Classroom more. I don't know why, if it's just because I'm more familiar with it, but I just think it organizes things, and yeah. But no, I would be happy to share information and see if he'd be happy to share his info as well.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you. Thanks, Carrie, for sharing that. Yep, perfect. I was going to have you
Yep.
stop share there. And all right. All right, let me just jump back here real quickly, and then I'm going to turn it over to someone else here. But thanks for sharing that. So next up, and really the slide deck here is just kind of a holding spot. But Chris, I believe you're here with us today.
I am. Hi, guys.
Chris, Chris is a Strategist 2 teacher in Harlan, and she works with middle and high school age students. And there were, several things I think Chris is going to share. Some ways that she's used, some aspects of Google Classroom and also Smart Notebook for interactive lessons. And Chris, if I just actually, I'm going to stop sharing, and
Okay.
I'll let you jump right in and share your
Yeah.
screen.
All righty. I actually, this year, I do not have any active students on my roster that are in this category. I do work with 2 young children, and that's like 2 periods a day. I only have, I guess I have 2 remote students, but also they're in co-taught classes. And so we're not actively at this level all the time. But I use Smart Notebook quite a bit in my classroom. It's automatically loaded on all of our students' computers and on our staff's as well. And I do have a Smart Notebook or a Smart Board in my classroom. So one of the things that I've used quite a few years in math is my Smart Notebook, and I've gone in and I've created pages in here that are hyperlinked, and you can make it interactive in that you can put in things that are automatic, like to go roll the dice. You can click on things and make things disappear. So one of the things that we do is we come in here, I have a spinner, and then if I, through Zoom, give over remote control access of my computer, then I can give control to the kids, and they can actually click on it, and they can spin it, and then we can talk through the months of the year. And then for one kiddo who I do actually have on remote right now, we just put in the first letters of each of the months. So then we can come through and we can just slide this off and we can talk through to give that visual support for that. Again, I put hyperlinks in to always take me back to my start page. One of the things we've worked on is Superman. So again, you can put a picture in and hyperlink it so you can keep moving through your slide deck, so to speak. And we talk about that Superman has to run before he can fly. So this was a way that I was able to cover quite a few things. We talked about some geometry with quadrilaterals and then the coordinate grids, and he actively came in, and again, he can take over control and he can make Superman run and then fly up, and then he can take over control. He knows all the bottoms, sometimes better than I do, and he comes in and puts in his text box and he types it in, so it really becomes very interactive for both of us at the same time. And so that is something that I have found very successful with some of my kids. And then if we're in the actual classroom, then they're getting up and they're moving to the smart board itself and are able to just touch it with their fingers and so forth. And so that was one of the ways that I was able to use that. This is, let me make sure that it actually changed. Are you seeing a screen that says budget, Ron? Did it switch?
I don't think it did. We're back at your
so
start
let me
menu.
go there. Okay. So this was with a young lady that I had last year when we went remote, and it was optional learning. She was a senior and in a personal finance class that I was doing with her. Her programming was more in terms of project-based learning. And that's something that we had put into her IEP for this young kiddo. And so again, it was through Smart Notebook, and I gave her access and control. One of the nice things in here is she would click on it and I can make the boxes disappear and make it interactive in that kind of way. little bit of visuals for things to move around in there. And then we did a sort activity like this where she could decide wants and needs, and we could make it interactive in that kind of way. And she was moving things around like that. So Smart Notebook became a way for us to really have her involved, where she was a little bit more, she had more problems verbally and stuff sometimes, but we were still able to get some things done that we were able to do in the classroom more readily. And then one of the other things that I had really used, I have to change my screen real quick. Sometimes I have issues with this, guys. I don't know if any of you do or not, but I'm still like, okay, I gotta change my screen. But through the Google Classroom, and this is just a practice classroom, but I threw a few of the things in. So I didn't take the Digitize Your Class, but I do use Google Classroom. At our middle school, we use Haiku. And for a lot of my special ed kids, that's very confusing, a lot of places to go. And so I found Google Classroom is a lot easier. So one of the things that I've started to use is Google Slides. And so presentation. And so I've come in, and my best friend teaches up in Altoona in Southeast Polk, and she uses the master's slides on here. So none of this can be clicked on and moved by anybody. And when I put it in my Google Classroom, it will make a copy for the student. They're able to open it up. It automatically makes their own copy. And then when they come in here, then they could interact with the slides. And so these are my direction slides here. And then what can happen is they're able to slide the letter up, and so they can go the at, and then slide across hat. And then that can be interactive with the two of us through a Zoom where we're working. It could be something that maybe they're doing maybe with their parent at home for continued practice. But this was something that I did for one of my kiddos who is working on those CVC words, where it became that interactive part there. Again, she can't mess up. Well, I can mess up, but she can't mess up and click on the bus and move anything like that. One of the other things that I did for them, let me go back to classroom. And we're also working on WH questions. And so I'm going to switch this for you guys. Okay, so again, it's kind of set up the same way with masters through there. And the masters, you get underneath the view and you click here on master, and that's where you can set up all of your slides. And then when you get out of the view with masters, when you come here, all of those masters are right there, and then you just click and keep adding those. And then you can put in a text box, or like in my case, when I move a little further down for the who, this is the only piece that moves. And so they are able to then move it by the cat is in the tree. Who is in the tree? The cat. And they can move it by the cat. And then when they turn it back into me, then I can see their work of where they had put it. Some of my kids right now, I've used this for just quizzes, even in the classroom. And if there's a text box where they're able to type in it, then I go back in and I fill it in with either red or green. And when I send it back to them through the Google Classroom, they'll know if they got it correct or if they got it wrong, because I'm able to fill that text box in on that slide. So those are some of the ways that I've used the Smart Notebook and the Google Classroom with some of my kiddos that are at a level that are a little bit lower than my others. And I think that's pretty much what I had for us, Ron.
Thanks so much, Chris. Does anybody have any questions for Chris? And again, that Smart Notebook software that's the software that goes along with a smart board. But yes. I thought that was really cool how that became kind of an interactive way of responding. And so just, to clarify for me too, so for it to be interactive with your student, it wasn't not just screen sharing, but you turn your computer over to them so that they're
yes, I would give them remote control, and then they then have access. And it also has been helpful because I had one student this spring who she's a lot lower, and she would have problems navigating on just the computer in general with her microphone. So like the first lady who said, I mean, here I am holding up signs saying, okay, check your microphone. And then I got them to the point that they let me take over control of their computer. So then I'm able to remote access their computer, and I can take control and show them exactly where they need to go and what they can do. And a lot of my kids really have acclimated to that, and we're able to interact in that way as well.
Thanks, Chris. Any other thoughts or questions about what Chris shared with us?
Again, Ron, that was another great example. And she's just right across the street. So now I know who to go to now too. Thank you.
Well, and Chris, the student that you mentioned was doing personal finance. I think I'm just thinking back, wasn't that also a student where, I mean, this would have been last spring, where I think were you doing some kind of practical things, like even that student was going on the Hy-Vee website and ordering a line and things like that. I thought that was really a cool example too.
Yeah, I guess that was one thing I didn't show you in one of the, I guess it was the Smart Notebook, but we talked about budgeting. And so then we would move some colored arrows over, and if it was in budget or not within budget, and then she would share her screen, and we would actually go to Hy-Vee online, and she would have made a grocery list from Look, Cook, and Eat, and checked her pantry at home with her mom. And then we were looking there, and we would find the item, and we would do dollar up, and then she would do calculator skills and figure out her budget and so forth. So we were able to continue what we had been doing in the classroom, but through some of those aspects of sharing the screen and being able to work together and do that. So yeah,
great. And then that was truly authentic, because we had, with the pandemic and everything, I mean, that student was doing the same kind of shopping that everybody else was doing, or many people were doing with the online and so forth. So
yes.
thank you. All right. Okay, we'll keep moving along here. Cecily, I think I see you out there. Thanks for being with us today. Cecily is a Strategist 2 teacher in Atlantic, working with high school age students, and I'm primarily I'm going to turn the screen over to her, and she has several things she's going to share with us. I just kind of listed a few things that she mentioned to me. So, for example, Cecily's been doing some literacy type activities, such as predictable chart writing in a virtual model. And it was really interesting for me to hear. I mean, some of the things that she was doing, involved parents getting some materials or picking them up so they could use them at home. So there were, parent partnerships involved in that. And I know that she has also been doing almost some kind of video coaching kinds of things with parents. So I'm going to stop talking, Cecily, and I'm going to let you take over the screen and just share some things with us. And I think you are going to see some real video clips here. And Cecily was kind enough to work with families and get some parent permission to share some of these things. So I appreciate that as well.
Yes, and give me 1 second. There we go. Okay, so I did make a list. So if I look down, it's because I want to make sure I touch everything that I was thinking of. So I also use Google Classroom. It is a little bit different than what I've seen from the first presenters. In my case, I have students that are a majority one-on-one paras. And then they also are in my room, except for either PE or PE and choir. So this is a deal where they do their social studies and science and math and reading and writing, everything in our classroom. So in order to make this a little bit easier for parents, because we do have 2 that decided to stay home to do remote learning, and they happen to be sisters. So this one is Miss Jade, and I did get permission from mom to share names. So she starts, and as you can see, I put her social studies class, what time we meet, what days. And then we have science at the same time, but on different days. And then she has one-on-one reading. This would be first teaching from me, and then her para will be with her for reteaching on other days, depending if she passed the lesson or not. And then we have a group writing, which at this time I have 5 students that are level 3 that participate in that. And we do that from 10:05 to 10:48. We start with writing, and then the last 15 minutes is dedicated to reading. Then we have our group math. And then she also has her one-on-one math. Again, that's me doing first teaching and then para supporting. At the bottom, we have all of the Zoom links for each class. So depending on if she's in group science, she can go down here and find that Zoom link to get in. And then she also, I shared this Google Classroom with her choir teacher and asked him to put the choir videos here so that mom didn't have to go to another Google Classroom to find those. So everything she has is here. This is done, every class is done through Zoom. If you see a lesson underneath, it's something that we recorded because she was not present when we were teaching. If they're in the class, we don't record it. If they are not in the class, we record so that mom can go back and show them what we did that day.
Cecily, a question came in the chat that just said, is the para helping through Zoom?
Yes,
Okay.
mom is at home, and we actually, Jade has her own computer, and then her 2 other sisters in the same home, they share one. So we have a total of 3. Mom's hopping around from each one of them helping. This would not be possible without mom. So, is there a follow-up question? Sorry, I don't see chat on mine here. Pop it up. Here we go. Okay, so if mom is there, I do not have the para on the Zoom as well. Because mom is essentially being the para at that point. If we are in the classroom, which you'll see on a video, I also have the students that are not remote learning on the computer as well, so that they can interact with those students that are at home. And their para does sit with them to help them navigate that and to practice proper Zoom etiquette. And ultimately, that's good practice for if they end up going home and being on Zoom too. So they'll be able to navigate that. But this is for, Jade attends to technology. When we flip over to her sister, Ashley, she does not attend well to technology. This is a situation where I'll be on the screen and I don't think she understands that I'm there. So in this setting, we do have her join our groups, and we record every lesson here so that mom, if she needs to go back and needs help with something, she can go back to the video and see what she needs to do to help her understand. And she, instead of doing one-on-one instruction on this framework, we're instructing mom on what we would do if she was in the room with us. So we're, like I said, we're lucky that mom is willing to help us with that. The student learns hands-on best. And so I will go ahead and show you a little video that one of the paras made. Basically, we have mom work on a different concept under reading each day, and then a different concept under math each day. And it's our plan to change those every 2 weeks. so that mom has something new to work with them on. So here's our first video. Oh, not that one, this one. Here we go. Here's my wonderful Para. She's amazing. Oh, goodness, no. It didn't work. Okay, I'll just reopen it. Maybe it timed out. I believe it was this one. Yes. Okay. Here we go.
Okay, video number 5. This is for reading though. So we're on to reading. On Mondays, you're going to go through the alphabet with them. We are going to send home alphabet cards. You'll have A through E is what we're working on right now. I managed to lose my E apparently sometime today. I only have A through D to show you, but we'll send some home. You'll just go through them like we did with math with the girls. This is the letter A. A is for apple. This is the letter B. This is the letter C. This is the letter D. You can take their hand if they're willing to participate and have them, hand over hand, trace the letter. I'll show you hand over hand. So you take your hand, child's hand, and just trace if they'll do it, and just reiterate that that's an A.
So we did one video for each concept. We placed it, we put Monday and Friday, we're working on the alphabet and letter sounds. We found some fun videos to go with that so that mom had something to kind of show them before they did the hands-on work. And we did that for each of these. Let me see, sorry, checking my notes. Okay. So that's what our one-on-one instruction for mom looks like. And then I also have a video, and I'm going to be honest, I did not realize that I was going to be sharing this video with other people. So pardon anything awkward in there. But here is a video of, we have our 2 girls at home here and this one. These ones are all at home. This one is in the classroom. I think I may need to fast forward just a bit to get into the good stuff here when it gets loaded. If it will load. I pulled these up way earlier. I didn't realize it was going to time them out on me. Let me see if I can go back and find that same one. Hold on one second. I'm going to stop sharing and see if I can get it to load up real quick. Sorry about that. Technology problems happens all day long.
Cicely, a lot of people nodded when you said that, so you're not alone.
Oh, I know. It's been interesting, that's for sure. A learning experience on patience. Let me see here. And our internet at the high school has not been the best today. We've been struggling. Okay, so we're going to go with, oh, I remember where it's at. Sorry about that. I was trying to find one without. One student's parent did not get our agreement signed, so I'm trying to make sure, get one that works here. This is it. Okay. So, let me share my screen again. Now let's try.
There we go. All right. So we're gonna do Miss.
I'm going to fast forward just a little bit because I think I say that student's name.
Wonderful.
Oh, back. There we go.
Nicholas, the lid is really hard.
There we go. Okay, so this is our predictable chart writing. Hers wasn't only marked because she was excited about sports. And that one is Miss Becca. Yeah. There we go. What about you? I'm not doing that. That's enough. Okay, so on their screen, I would be bigger, obviously, and then there would be little boxes. I like to record it this way because I like to see the kids. I mean, I like to see what's going on, see if they're participating, look at their reactions, kind of engage with them more. So I don't know if you're familiar with predictable chart writing, but there's a website called Project Core that has modules on it. Definitely check that out. So here we were practicing writing our sentences, and we also used lesson picks, which was mentioned earlier, for our word choices to complete the sentence. So that's worked out very well. One more thing I wanted to talk about. Am I over my time, Ron? Or am I good?
You're okay. You're okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. So one thing that has been a struggle is progress monitoring. So we were looking at how to best do progress monitoring and make sure that it's done in a way where we're actually getting good data from it. So we kind of talked to Mom and had her as part of that decision of which goals we were going to monitor and which ones we thought maybe we could wait until we get back to face-to-face. So I was going to pull up, sorry, it shut down all of my tabs that I had open here. So I'm going to share a page I for this student to kind of look at what we decided here. So for Jade, the one that attends to technology, we went ahead and we send home all of her progress monitoring on Friday, as well as all of the materials that we're going to be using the next week. And then Mom brings us back everything they did. So then we have stuff to grade and she has new stuff to take home for the next week. We did decide, like I said, the one that attends to technology does her progress monitoring on a Zoom link with her para. The one that does not attend to technology, we asked Mom to kind of do the progress monitoring and let us know, but we're not officially putting it in the IEP. We're just using it for our own instructional purposes. When we get back to face-to-face and she's with her para doing that again, we're going to start putting it on there. But I know that Page I has been a big thing here. So we kind of looked at putting in there that she does not attend to technology. So the special education teacher and para will work on developing videos for the parent to watch to teach at home hands-on. And then we are not making them any more than 5 minutes a piece because that's asking the parents a lot to do a lot. So we kind of talked about 4 or 5 skills a week would be plenty, and then we'll switch them every 2 weeks so that we're not asking the parents to learn something new every day that way. And then we talked about, one thing I have been changing on there is on the additional considerations, putting how important parental communication is so that they understand that they're an important piece of this. And we would really appreciate them to be part of that team. So I think that's all I had for today. Any questions? And also I told Ron this, but if anyone ever wants to collaborate on anything, that is my favorite thing to do. So just let me know. I am always up for learning something from you and helping someone with a problem. So.
Ron, we need to go back to that question about the time commitment to make that Google Classroom, etc.
Okay, so let me tell you this. It took us a very long time, probably 2 weeks, to get these videos in Google Classroom set up how they would work functionally. After that, we don't even, it's no work at all. So lots of prep, but then it makes your life so much easier.
And then, and Chris, maybe reflect, I think that question might have even come through on the chat when you were talking. Any thoughts you have about like the time commitment to create some of the materials that you did, or how that worked? Or
As far as the Google Slides with the masters, once you go in and you create your one master, if I have like each of those pages that had the different pictures for the CVC words, I just duplicate the slide, put the new picture on that slide, and then when I get out of master view, it's as simple as clicking add, 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 add. I learned how to do it via the phone from my best friend, and I think we Zoomed once. So I mean, Zoom's been helpful as far as teaching and communicating with other people that I can reach out with and help. So that's been wonderful. The Smart Notebook, it can be a little bit more time consuming if you're a novice at it and you're just starting out. But as far as, you know, putting in your text box and filling it in and then clicking the animate button, once you create a page, then it's there. So like Cecily said, once it's there, it's there. And then I can just go in and tweak it. So front loading, it takes a little bit, but after that, I just went back in for the WHs. I used the whole slide deck for the who, and I tweaked it, and I just changed my question to what, and changed those first 3 slides, and I had a new one. And then I did the same thing, and I had a when, and when I get to it, I'll go do my where and why. So.
great, thanks. So I mean, I'm hearing a lot of, yes, time on the front loading part of it, but then as time goes on, maybe a little bit less so. But I will say, some of you guys are making it look easy here. You're really doing some awesome stuff. So thank you for that. All right, just kind of watching the clock here. Denise Young is an assistive technology consultant with Green Hills, and she had several things she wanted to share. Denise, I'll just let you
Sure.
pull up what you need on your end.
And I'm not going to go through all this. I just wanted to put something together so that you had an idea of some resources that are out there. This is a clickable classroom that I'm doing on communication. Eventually, each core word will link to its own page, and it will have a video as with a song about the word, a video showing how to model the word like, etc., and a list of books, links to books that have that core word in it. If you're interested, I have a temporary one that you can use while I'm putting together this one. It doesn't have all this, it just has the songs on it. And then this clickable classroom, these are just some programs that are out there. The top 2 shelves have 2 links per item. So if you click on a link, it'll take you to a video.
Are you using Google Classroom for learning management? Well, let me introduce you to its perfect companion.
In this video, I'm going to show you 2 new updates to Google.
A video showing how to use that tool. Over on the other side, Bookshare, I know most of you are aware of. Just reminding you that's out there as a source. MathShare is by the same company that does Bookshare, but it is for all students to be eligible. The Google or AEA online resources. This document shows the resources, and it also on the side will show you assistive technology features. If it's got a built-in text reader, if it has captions. So like I said, I just want to put something together that shows you some resources are out there. If you have other ideas, that you'd like put together in an organized way, send them to me. I would love creating stuff that you guys can use.
Thanks, Denise. Denise, could you unshare for
Yeah, I'm working on it. There you go.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. All right. Thanks everybody for
And you guys had wonderful ideas. I'm glad to see them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, I wanted to, so thanks for all those resources. I love that clickable classroom format. That's really, really awesome. I also wanted to jump back to, Cecily had mentioned, one of the strategies she had used was the predictable chart writing. I did go ahead and link in that slide. Cecily mentioned their Project Core is out there, and also DLM. Those links are in there, and they're actually mini PD modules on how to do predictable chart writing. So I put those in there for your reference as well. So I have those there. All right. As we're pretty close to 4:30 here, and we want to honor your time. Last thing I wanted to just kind of mention is that I am going to be sending out an email, a little survey to the Strategist 2 teacher group. You might be thinking, just what I need is one more survey to do. But what I want to kind of assess is, I think this is a really great activity today to kind of hear some of the ideas of what some of you are doing, particularly with for virtual and hybrid learning, because so many of us have found ourselves thrown into that world, whether we like it or not. And I am interested to see if some of you would be interested in developing a professional learning community. So meaning we could have some follow-up Zooms between now and the spring, additional sessions and I wanted to see if there was interest in that, if that group of teachers would like to attend those. And I would also like to ask, if some of you would be interested in sharing during those sessions, because I think this is really probably the best way that we can, learning together, and having some of you folks that are in the field just sharing some of your great ideas. So so watch for that. I'll put that out to primarily the Strategist 2 teacher group, and if there's interest, we'll see if we can have some follow-up sessions throughout the coming year, and just kind of digging deeper into this area. Okay, with that, I think we'll probably end our day. Thanks again for everybody for attending today. Thanks especially to those of you that kind of shared your ideas. I know it was I can see through the chat here that it was greatly appreciated, and we all love seeing great ideas and learning together. So thanks for that. And this is assuming I did not make a critical error. This is recorded, and I will get this recording up on the Return to Learn site, where we're archiving these sessions throughout the year. So if you have colleagues that might want to see this, that will be available. So thanks, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thank you.